On today's episode of Motorhouse, we return with part 2 of our coverage of the Festival of the Unexceptional. Any other day, I'd be all over a 993 911, but today... Ooh, Citroen Visa.
Ordinarily, I'd be super excited by Porsche content. That's not what we're here for. This is what we're here for. Oh my days. FSO? Polski Fiat. See, close to my heart, this is a Polski Fiat. Wow. It is the magnificent FSO Polonaise. A 1.5 GLI. I mean, who doesn't love a 1.5 GLI FSO Polonaise? I mean, it's a bit of max power, isn't it?
Yeah, actually 90s.
Oh my good lord.
Wow.
It's got the rotating speakers.
Currently on casual mode.
Massively drawn to this for obvious reasons. Go on, go.
I'm being pulled.
Go.
I'm being pulled in. Wow. Third gen CRX, even though most people don't like calling it a CRX, but it's a Del Sol, and it's a UK spec, and it's a trans top. Oh, it's incredibly cool. Like the coolest roof mechanism ever. That is mega. Completely underrated Honda. Based on the EG chassis, everything from like a DC2 will fit one of these. So like all the suspension, all the anti-roll bars, all of that stuff totally fit this. And it's a weapon. And they fitted it with a B-Series engine. What's not to like? And the roof mechanism, people. That's all I have to say. It's incredible. I love them. I owned one.
Unfortunately, one of the phrases of the shows is going to be, my dad had one of those, and, well, Ratchet and I have found our dad's cars parked right next to each other. My dad had an E28 5 Series. It was a 528. And I love these cars because they had the very classic, they're known as shark nose front BMWs. This is when BMW were actually making cars that were built properly with engines that would go for hundreds of thousands of miles. Beautifully engineered things. Gosh, this has been nostalgic. And then over here, Ratchet's dad had a Cap.
Yeah, so in, I'd say like early 90s, maybe 93, 94, my dad decided to chuck in our Montego, which he hated with a passion, and bought a mighty Cavalier. His was not like as fancy as this one. My dad's was like a 1.6, but it had electric windows, and it had a stereo, and it had like an electric sunroof, and all the stuff that'll go wrong, Babs.
It's now good, Dad, it'll just break. It's just gonna cost you money, that.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong. Me and my brother like spent the first weekend playing around with it all, flattening the battery, and of course it had like one of those stereos at the time with the code in it, and it lost the code, and it cost him so much money to get the code. He was not happy with us.
Ratchet's in love.
Again, with another Del Sol. This one is a Jap import. It is a trans top, yet again, as you can see, in operation. This whole panel here comes out. So you undo 2 clips, 2 latches, whole boot rises up, as you can see. Then these slide out, go into the roof, lock, and then withdraw the roof inside here, and then the whole thing goes back down again. It is so the coolest thing I've ever seen. So this is a Jap import model in Samba Green, because rad as hell. So it's got like all the optional extra stuff, like the full gathers into speaker package. It's got the optional extra front fog lights. It's really amazing. I love it.
So this is interesting, Ratchet. Tell me about Honda Verno, because this is Japanese import, right?
Verno, there was 3 different brands that Honda did in Japan. I'm gonna forget one of them. There was Primo, Verno, and I forget the other one. I'm going to Honda help.
Just point to what it is and I'll put it in afterwards.
They were dealerships that kind of specialised in selling like, hey, the lifestyle vehicles that we make. So like one of them would be like, hey, we're selling all of the cool cars for like hip kids in their 20s. And then another one would be for like, oh, we're selling more sort of utilitarian vehicles. And hey, we're selling more like family orientated vehicles. So that's what the Verno, the Primo, and the other one that I can't remember.
Good work. No one noticed.
No one noticed. Seamless.
And Scene.
Hey boy, is that an Austin Ambassador?
Yes.
Hey boy, is that a Y-Reg?
It's an Austin Ambassador Y-Reg. Don't keep asking me why, Reg. It just happens to be that year. Just spotted Ratchet's getting very excited about something. What's getting you excited, girl?
The radness of this.
Oh,
Mardi
mercy.
Gras edition. Is it?
Oh.
Oh my god.
Even better,
so cool.
it's a sacre numero.
Wow. That is all rad. I love
Look
it.
how clean it is.
See, now that's impressive. Gets 2 Ratchet thumbs up.
2 Ratchet thumbs up.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Oh look, Ratchet's found yet another old Honda.
I felt the pull.
Civic Shuttle Coupe.
GL. So this would be the EF platform, which is the same platform as my CRX. So they did like lots of different versions of the Civic at the time. So you have like the hatchback, which everyone knows and loves. Then you had like the saloon version, and then you had the shuttle, such as this, which is kind of like an estate-ish version.
Yeah.
But they did like a 4-wheel drive one of these.
Wow.
Super cool. Like really cool. Now, being a GL, I think this will be the D14, which is a 1.4 single overhead cam, non-VTEC. So it's probably, I don't want to insult people, but it might be a little bit gutless because of the weight, but who knows? I've never driven one. They could be amazing.
It's also on Scene-tastic
Yes.
Brunel turbos.
Obviously.
But I like Brunel turbos.
Yeah, they're not bad. Like, they have a time and a place.
This is probably...
This is peak time and place for these wheels.
What?
Watt.
So that's a Bedford HA Viva van pop top camper. Amazingly enough, I've never seen one of these before. According to the plate inside, this is a Dormobile conversion. So there are a few conversion companies that would take vans and so on and convert them into pop-top campers. Dormobile's one of the most famous. There are other companies like Devon as well that would do them, but I've never ever seen a pop-top Bedford HA motorhome, and I love it. Isn't it ace? Right here, this is what we came for. Come and have a look. We'll do this first. What could be more Festival of the Unexceptional than a metallic beige Hyundai Pony? Look at this, 18,000 miles, 1992. Oh, so much beige.
So much beige. And look, it's so poverty, where there used to be a rev counter, it now just says Hyundai.
And then right here, that's a special badge. Now you might say, oh, someone's just stuck it on the back of any old Land Rover they've stuffed a V8 in. And normally you look at this and think, it's the Series 3 Land Rover, but this is no ordinary Series 3 Land Rover. This is what's called a Stage 1 V8. You'll note that at the front, it's got the flat front, like the later 90s 110s and so on, but with a mesh grille instead. And that means that what this is a Stage 1 V8. Now the Stage 1 V8 was introduced by Leyland towards the late 70s and towards the end of the Series 3's lifespan. And what they did is they took the drivetrain from the contemporary Range Rover, so the 3.5 litre Rover V8, the permanent 4x4 gearbox and transmission, put a bespoke front axle underneath it, and they created the first V8 Land Rover. These were never particularly commonplace even in the day, and to see one now is a real treat. One of my favourite classic Land Rovers, and the fact that you could find something like this next to a beige Hyundai Pony. So much beige. Peak Festival of the Unexceptional. Oh, this is memory lane for me. My very first car was a Fiat Cinquecento. Wasn't the Sporting, I really wanted the Sporting. Oh, it's lovely to see one of these. I'd really love one of these again. They did the yellow. Like, how cool is that? I'm amazed how clean this is because, you know, the Italians in the 80s and 90s weren't renowned for making cars that lasted a long time, although, top fact, these are actually made in Poland at Polski Fiat in the old FSO factory. Lovely to see. I think this definitely deserves to belong here.
My attachment to one of these lovely little cars is It was like one of the first cars I ever drove. Just
Was it
ever.
really?
No, you see?
I was not aware.
I did a car provisional sort of driving experience in the summer after I left school, and it was in one of these, and we got to drive it around the school playground, and somehow, I mean, bear in mind, I was 6 foot tall when I left school. Trying to fit me in the driver's seat, the guy who was teaching us in the passenger seat, and then 2 other people in the back who were equally as tall as me. It was quite an experience of trying to adjust the seat without crushing the person behind me's legs. First car pretty much that I ever drove. One of these.
Something a little sporty for the weekend. Bit of a drop top number, is it? Then you need the Rover 100 convertible.
No.
Couldn't walk by this. Beautiful, beautiful Series 1 Rover SD1. Rover SD1 was a big change for Rover. It was a real modern car for them that really went through into the 80s. Some say this is the last of the traditional Rovers. Rear wheel drive, live axle, on coil springs, so reasonably good for its time. Really fantastically late 70s. Really quite a futuristic looking thing for its time and styling. This one is the 2600, which is a 2.6 litre straight 6. The V8s were broken en masse for the drivetrains. No end of Cobra replicas ended up having the V8 and the gearbox out of them. This is quite a rarity being a straight 6, and it's, gosh, it's immaculate. En français, deux voitures exceptionnelles. Renault 4 van. I think this is what they call a fourgonnette. Obviously, as you can see, one of the little kind of French baguette delivery vans. Isn't this adorable? Also, I love this. Have you ever seen how the gear lever works on a Renault 4? It's an umbrella handle. Look. And it's like change gear and you go. Love them.
So you have to make the noise as well.
You have to make the noise. One of my favourite ever cars. Citroën DS. Although, perhaps exceptional. Does it fit into what we're after? I think the DS is an exceptional car. It's exceptional, which means we shouldn't cover it, but
I want it. Can I have it? 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 It is two-tone and 90s and I want it. Can I have it?
It's very you.
I know.
I mean, look, the way you're dressed at the moment, you could totally be an utterly spoilt teenager from a Beverly Hills Millionaire in that.
Yes.
Hey JDM girl, what have you found? It looks a bit exceptional to me.
It's extremely exceptional.
So why is it here?
Anyway, it's here, it exists, and that's what the whole point of this is.
What is
right?
it?
So it's a Toyota Celica. I call it a Celica. So Carlos Sainz, legendary rally driver, drove for Toyota in the 90s and was like, you know, world champion. And this is a turbo four-wheel drive Carlos Sainz edition.
Wait a minute. Has it got a turbo?
Has it got a turbo?
Has it got a turbo?
It's got a turbo, look.
Look at that, it's got a turbo.
It's got a turbo.
It must be
fast.
right fast,
Right fast.
if it's got a turbo.
And for some reason has a radiator in the boot. I don't know why, but it did. I shamefully don't know a heck of a lot about them. I am Honda girl after all. I remember driving these on Gran Turismo. I'm old.
There'll be
Look at
someone
me,
in the
I'm
comments
old.
that knows all about these and they'll tell us, won't they?
I'm old. I've only probably seen like 2 or 3 in 20 odd years of looking at cars like this.
Hold up a minute, you. For Cosy.
Cosy?
Do you know what they've got? He's got a turbo!
I have to live with him.
Now, a quintessential British sports car that I'm very fond of is the MGB. And the prettiest of them, in my opinion, is the GT, which is the coupe, which was started by Pininfarina. However, when I was walking up here earlier, something told me this wasn't an ordinary BGT. See if you at home can play along with me. Number 1, the big bulge on the bonnet. Number 2, the egg crate grille at the front. And thirdly, which gives the game away, that badge just there, V8 Costello. A guy called Ken Costello was the first person to put a V8 into an MGB. He reckoned that he could fit the little light Rover V8 into an MGB. People at BL said, oh no, that can't be done, and they did the MGC instead. But no, Ken Costello went, no, this will work. It's a light little engine, it actually weighs less than the B series, we can do this. He had a go at doing his own conversions, which were the V8 Costello, and these he had to buy from Ken Costello. Suddenly, Leyland spotted that people were really liking these. Ken went down to the works apparently, and they took a whole look at the car, and then they completely stole the idea, decided to do the BGT V8 themselves and cut off his supply of engines. Well done, Leyland. Well done. Leyland wins again. Well, now, hasn't that been fun, girl?
This has been an awesome day. I've missed this.
What a magnificent selection of chod.
Chod. Oh,
such chod.
Prime chod.
Prime choice chod. Choice chod. Choice chod. With a few kind of interlopers, some exceptional cars trying to muscle in. Once again, really hope you've enjoyed our coverage from today. If you'd like to help us out, click like if you've liked it. We'd really like to know if you enjoy what we're up to. Please hit subscribe so you can see more nonsense from us, more nonsense. And from me, Bob.
And me, Ratchet.
It's goodbye from us and goodbye from Motorhouse.